Breaking news. The Denver Broncos are eagerly anticipating the 2025 NFL Draft, and Coach Sean Payton is exuding calm and confidence as the team looks toward the future. The road to the playoffs and the Super Bowl won't be easy, but there's no doubt that the Broncos have the potential to make it happen this year. If you're feeling optimistic about the team's chances, hit that like button and drop a comment saying, "Go Broncos, I believe in the Super Bowl." Now let's dive into the latest buzz surrounding Brandon Aiyuk and Von Miller. There's a lot to unpack here, and this isn't just speculation. This is what's being discussed behind the scenes in Denver. First up, let's talk about the potential of adding Brandon Aiyuk to the roster. While rumors have circulated about the San Francisco 49ers possibly being open to trading him, the chances of Aiyuk joining the Broncos are extremely slim. Why? Well, for starters, Aiyuk just signed a contract extension with the 49ers. Definitely not a move that suggests they're eager to part ways with him. On top of that, Aiyuk is coming off a serious injury, having suffered both an ACL and MCL tear. It's unlikely that Denver would take a big gamble on a player with those injury concerns, especially when they're not in dire need of a wide receiver. And let's not forget the locker room fit. Sean Payton's system requires a specific kind of player, and Aiyuk may not be the best match. With his hefty contract and injury history, the chances of a trade to Denver are extremely low. The Broncos aren't looking to waste valuable draft picks and cap space on a risky move when there are other positions in greater need of attention. Now let's shift gears and talk about a player who could bring a different kind of energy to the Broncos, the potential return of Von Miller. Von Miller, Broncos legend, Super Bowl MVP, the heart and soul of the defense during one of the franchise's most iconic eras. Could he return for a fairy tale ending to his career? It's a storyline that excites every Broncos fan, but when we move past the nostalgia, there's a bigger question. Can Von still perform at a level that justifies a spot on a competitive NFL roster? Unfortunately, the reality is that it's unlikely. The past 2 seasons have been tough on Miller. Injuries, declining production, and the effects of age have all taken their toll. Given Denver's current depth at edge rusher, including promising young players like Jonah Ellis, it becomes difficult to see where a veteran like Miller would fit in. Sure, he could provide leadership, be a mentor, or step in as a situational pass rusher if needed. But is it worth taking valuable snaps away from a younger player with more potential just to let a legend have one final run? While the idea is certainly emotional, it might end up hindering the team's long-term development. Now, let's shift focus to the draft, where fans are eagerly speculating about which players the Broncos might target, especially when it comes to running backs and interior defense. One name drawing real interest is Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Nolan is a dominant force on the defensive line and could provide a much-needed boost to Denver's interior, especially if they miss out on one of their preferred skill players early in the draft. Another name that's been floated is Cam Skattebo. Here's where things get a bit more complicated. Skattebo has had an impressive college career, but there's genuine concern about whether his game will translate to the NFL. He might be a college standout, but not quite make the jump to the professional level. A tough reality, but one that must be considered when evaluating draft prospects. In the world of NFL draft analysis, honesty always outweighs the hype. So how many running backs should the Broncos realistically draft? 1, maybe 2 if they're feeling ambitious. Let's not forget that Denver drafted Audric Estime just last year. Are they really ready to move on from him already? Probably not. With Estime, Tyler Beatty, Blake Watson, and Jaleel McLaughlin already in the mix, the Broncos' backfield is already crowded. Adding one more running back is reasonable, but bringing in 2 could just clog the depth chart and push out players who might still contribute. And as for names like Trevor Etienne or Montrell Johnson Jr., the message from Broncos fans is clear. Denver needs to address the running back position early in the draft. Don't wait until day 3 and hope for the best. If the team is still looking for a back after the first 2 days, something has gone wrong. If you want a game-changing player in the backfield, you need to act decisively when it counts. One name that has popped up as a potential late-round sleeper is LaQuint Allen, though there's not much information on him yet. This is one for the deep dive scouts to keep an eye on as we get closer to the draft. For those dreaming big, like the idea of adding Jamar Chase or Saquon Barkley, the message is simple. Don't expect a quarterback in this fantasy. We all know a quarterback would be the obvious game changer, but if you could add just one game-changing talent to the Broncos roster, Jamar Chase might be the ideal pick. So now it's your turn, Broncos country. Would you welcome Von Miller back for one final season? Are you ready to pull the trigger on a running back early in the draft? And do you think Brandon Aiyuk is worth the risk? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about the direction this team is heading. Let's keep this conversation going because we've only just scratched the surface of what's on the minds of Broncos fans. Up next, we're diving deeper into the running back situation and what it could mean for Denver's 2025 outlook. The question we need to answer is this: if the Broncos do pick up a running back, what kind of record can fans realistically expect next season? Let's say they land someone like Caleb Johnson or Omarion Hampton, solid prospects, not necessarily headline makers, but reliable backs who could step right into a rotation and make an immediate impact. Even with that addition, a realistic expectation for the Broncos would be a 10-7 record. That might not blow fans away, especially after last season's frustrations, but it's a reasonable improvement, especially considering how tough the AFC is shaping up to be. Take a look around. The Raiders have finally brought in a legitimate head coach, and while that may not seem like a major shift, they're no longer the easy win they used to be. The Chiefs, they're still the Chiefs, as dominant as ever. And now, the Chargers are entering year 2 under Jim Harbaugh, a coach known for demanding discipline and toughness. They swept the Broncos last season, and with improvements expected in 2025, there's no reason to think they won't be even better. So, if you're expecting a 12-5 or 13-4 season, you might want to manage your expectations. A 10-7 record isn't just a number, it signals progress. It means the team is competitive in the playoff hunt and laying the foundation for sustained success. But achieving that record won't be easy. It requires making smart draft picks, staying healthy, and having Sean Payton continue to implement his system with the discipline and consistency he's known for. Speaking of Payton, there's been some debate about what kind of player fits into his locker room. This brings us back to the Brandon Aiyuk conversation. Talent alone isn't enough. Culture matters too. Payton is building a team that reflects his vision, his tone, and his style. That's why the Broncos haven't been quick to splash cash on high-profile, high-risk wide receivers. It's also why rumors about players like Cooper Kupp never gain much traction. There's a method behind the silence, and if fireworks are coming, they'll likely come from the draft, not a blockbuster trade. But let's indulge in a bit of fantasy for a moment. If Broncos fans could pick any player from the league to add to the roster, the names that keep coming up speak volumes. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, all elite playmakers who would instantly change how defenses approach the Broncos. Of course, this is all hypothetical, but it highlights a key point. Broncos fans know the offense needs that one game-changing piece, a player who can turn the tide in a single play. While we probably won't see Jefferson or Chase in Denver anytime soon, it underscores just how crucial the draft will be in identifying the stars of tomorrow. Now, let's circle back to some more draft names that have come up: Trenton Henderson and Cam Skattebo. Henderson may be flying under the radar for now, but there's definitely some intrigue surrounding him. On the other hand, Skattebo's evaluation continues to spark mixed opinions. So, here's where we stand. We're on the brink of an offseason that could shape the next 5 years of Broncos football. Will they draft a running back early? Could a player like Jonah Ellis emerge as a key defensive building block? And is there a chance Von Miller could return for one last ride, even if it's just in a leadership role? These aren't just offseason hypotheticals. They're the foundation of what could be the next chapter in Denver's journey. Now it's your turn to weigh in. What move do you think the Broncos absolutely have to make? Should they pass on big names like Aiyuk and focus on building through the draft? Is Von Miller's potential return something you'd welcome, or is it time for the team to fully move on and look ahead? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because Broncos country always has something to say, and this is where the real conversation starts.